Discover the miraculous society of 144,000 before the flood. God's shocking plan revealed. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the earth was filled with violence and evil, the hearts of men were turned away from the Lord. Amidst this darkness, there lived one man, Noah, who walked blamelessly before God, righteous in his generation. Genesis 6 verses 8-9. While he tilled the soil and raised his family, the pervasive corruption of society weighed heavily upon his heart. Little did he know that divine revelation awaited him, the fate of all creation resting on his shoulders. One fateful day, while tending to his vineyard, the heavens opened above him, and the voice of the Almighty resonated through the still air. Noah, the Lord spoke, the wickedness of mankind has risen before me like a lament, and I shall bring a great flood to cleanse the earth. But behold, I reveal to you my hidden plan. You will gather a righteous remnant, 144,000 faithful souls who will bear witness to my covenant during this time of great trial. As Noah listened, his heart quickened with both burden and hope. He understood that this society of the faithful was to be set apart, living blamelessly amid overwhelming corruption. Genesis 6 verse 11. They would stand firm in their beliefs and be instrumental in preserving the lineage leading to the promised Messiah. This covenant echoed through generations, forged long ago when the serpent first tempted Adam and Eve, Genesis 3 verse 15, yet the journey ahead was fraught with challenges. As Noah labored on the ark according to God's intricate designs, Genesis 6 verses 13-21, whispers of doubt filled the air around him. Friends became mockers, neighbors scoffed at the sight of an enormous vessel arising from the earth. What folly! They jeered, you build a boat in the desert. What is this flood you speak of? With each insult, the burden on Noah deepened as he sought out the faithful, a dwindling few who would trust in God's promise of salvation. The waters of disbelief surged around him, and as days turned into weeks and weeks into months, he faced a harrowing truth: faith can become an isolating journey. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. Then one twilight, while praying in the shadows of the nearing ark, a vision erupted before Noah's eyes, hushed voices rising against the tide of chaos. Could these be the faithful he had longed to gather? A flicker of divine light illuminated the darkened land, revealing men and women devoted to God, courageously standing firm in their beliefs. They, too, had faced mockery yet trusted in the Lord's spoken word. As doom drew closer, the faithful 144,000 began to assemble, forging bonds stronger than family, united not by blood but by an eternal covenant of trust in God's promise. Would they withstand the flood of mockery and fear that threatened to drown their faith? The skies thundered as clouds gathered, heralding the coming deluge, casting a palpable dread over the land. With the first drops of rain falling, the faithful stood anchored fiercely in the truth, ready to face the tribulation. Would God truly deliver his own in the face of judgment as he had promised? The waters would rise, and so would their spirits like eagles on the wind, soaring above despair. The culmination of faith was upon them, uncertain but bursting with hope, awaiting the manifestation of God's sovereign plan. As the heavens wept forth the relentless torrents, the earth trembled at the awakening of God's righteous judgment. Noah, standing upon the threshold of the ark, felt the weight of divine promise and dread as he gathered the 144,000, now known as the faithful remnant. Each day, as the skies darkened, they came forth, mothers with infants wrapped in cloth, men with sweat upon their brows, and children with eyes wide in the understanding of the moment. Behold, the Lord is with us. Noah cried out to the gathered assembly as he took stock of their resolve. They gazed upon him with a mix of admiration and trepidation. They recognized the enormity of their mission. The flood shall come, and we shall endure. Those who have heeded the Lord's call will find refuge in his mighty arm. With each proclamation, they drew strength from the certainty of God's faithfulness. Isaiah 41 verse 10, In the days that lay ahead, the rain fell like the very tears of creation, washing away the iniquities of mankind. The murmurs of dissent faded, and an unusual silence enveloped the land. Having heard the messages of doom, many turned a blind eye, while others continued to mock, their laughter swallowed by the rising waters. The faithful assembled daily, recounting the blessings of God, recounting the testimonies of His grace. They sang hymns of praise, their voices rising in harmony like incense before the Lord. Psalm 141 verse 2. The melody echoed through the air, soothing the troubled hearts and binding them closer as a community of hope in a time of despair. As the deluge unfolded, a palpable tension remained between the fear of judgment and the trust in God's redemptive promise. Each passing day brought the knowing that they were not merely survivors but a chosen people, set apart for the divine purpose. The Lord has gathered us as wheat from the chaff, one among them proclaimed, his countenance illuminated by faith. They rejoiced in their identity as heirs of the covenant, the shadow of the ark a physical representation of their spiritual refuge, but within the hearts of the faithful, questions arose amid the praise. What shall we do in the days to come? They inquired of Noah, their leader. How shall we walk in a world rebuilt after the flood? Despite their tribulation, they sensed the Lord's hand guiding them through the storm, a reminder of His fingerprints woven through the fabric of their lives. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. As the ark began to tremble with the force of the rising currents, Noah ventured forth into the inky blackness of the rain-slicked night. Lord, he whispered, your will be done. He sought reassurance, knowing but a flicker of the Almighty's intentions for the remnant who would sail toward an unknown future. Then it came an epiphany that pierced the depths of his spirit, reaching beyond mere survival. This covenant, he understood, is not only for us but for generations to follow. From our lineage shall rise the seed of hope. As if in response to his revelation, the earth shuddered under the might of unyielding waters, echoing the profound truth that all creation awaited its redemption. Noah turned to his faithful companions, their eyes aglow with determination. The time will come when the world shall know our story, a testament to unwavering faith amid trials. With the ark finally sealed, the curtain of dread loomed as clouds darkened beyond comprehension. Yet, beyond the impending storm, a truth lingered, a message like light in darkness remained hidden within God's sovereign plan. Little did they know the future bore a revelation far greater than they could imagine, as they stood at the threshold of history, destined to witness God's ultimate redemption unfolding. Would they remain steadfast as the flood unleashed its fury, or would faith tether them to the anchor of hope? As the first dawn of judgment broke, the skies roared with the sound of vengeful thunder. The shapes of the mountains began to vanish beneath the relentless waves, and the faithful remnant within the ark clung to their hope. Comforted by Noah, their leader and servant of the Most High, they bathed in words both filled with admonition and grace. Take heart. Noah called out, voice raised above the tempest. The Lord hath commanded this work, his hand shall not falter. Fear not the flood that rises, for our covenant with him is sealed. Hope flickered in the hearts of the faithful, turning their anxiety into praise, for they understood that even in judgment, God remembers his promises. 1 Peter 3 verse 20, with bated breath, they sought God's presence through prayer, fervently asking, O Lord, when shall the waters retreat? When shall we walk upon dry ground again? Their voices fused into one sacred harmony, resonating not only within the ark's sturdy walls but echoing through the vault of heaven's court. The Lord heard the cry of his chosen, the remnants of faith began to realize their comforting testament amidst tribulation. As days turned into weeks, the heavens wept and clouds churned above, yet within the ark, life thrived through unwavering faith. The mothers nourished their young, the elders instructed with wisdom, while the children played beneath a roof ordained by God himself. Each moment was a testament of divine providence, a glimpse of the day when they would step onto a renewed earth. Isaiah 43 verse 19. Then, one fateful evening, as the sun attempted to pierce through the pall of stormy clouds, a calm settled upon Noah's heart. He gazed up at the heavens, sensing a stirring. God was moving behind the scenes. With urgency, he summoned the remnant together, their faces illuminated not merely by the dim light of the ark but by the spirit of anticipation. Beloved, Noah proclaimed, God has not forgotten us. Each raindrop is a reminder of his mercy mixed with judgment. We stand upon the brink of a new beginning. For though the earth be cleansed, a new covenant is upon us, a promise that a future generation shall wield the keys of creation. The room surged with energy as the remnant leaned into the vision that God birthed through their leader's conviction that I and the stillness that enveloped them. A sudden quaking tremor coursed through the ark, sending ripples of divine energy through the gathered assembly. Noah understood the moment was like the tremors that precede both birth and destruction. Prepare. The Lord may soon call for your surrender, but know this: He has a purpose for us and will lead us into an everlasting promise. Little did they know, the purpose of God was unfurling a divine tapestry far exceeding the limits of their understanding. As the waters withdrew and the mountains began to reappear, the faith of the remnant would be tested anew. What awaited them beyond the ark? Would they find alignment in God's overwhelming plan, or would fear reign in the heart of man once more? Outside, creation awaited its Creator to usher forth a righteous remnant, waiting for a signal: a dove bearing an olive branch, proclaiming peace amidst the remnants of the storm. Yet still, a greater mystery loomed ahead, for the seed of hope was yet to come, a beacon calling forth a new lineage through the waters of judgment. The echoes of this covenant promise tiptoed closer, heralding the unfolding of something magnificent not only for Noah but for the generations that would follow. Would they rise with faith anew, ready to fulfill the purpose God had set forth for His people? As the days extended beyond the 40 and the rains continued to pour with relentless fervor, Noah remained vigilant, seeking the face of the Lord with gratitude. Day and night, fervent prayers filled the hearts of the remnant within the ark. Little did they know that a divine conversation was unfolding in the very courts of heaven. Then came a prompt that stirred the spirits within the sanctuary of the ark. Noah, driven by an urgency beyond his own understanding, fasted and prayed unto the Almighty. O Lord, what shall I do? Your promises echo in my soul, yet the waters are deep and dark. Reveal to us the path that leads to the new covenant, that we may stand steadfast before you. In that sacred moment, the Lord moved, and the heart of Noah was enlightened. He beheld a vision: a rainbow shimmering within the brightness of the storm. It danced and swayed upon the waters, reminder of a promise fulfilled, yet also a harbinger of what was to come. Noah stood in awe, for he knew this was but a glimpse of the covenant which would bind creation together in harmony. The remnant began to feel a stirring of anticipation, for there was a growing unease within them, whispering of things yet unseen. As father and leader, Noah imparted to them the weight of this vision. Hear me, my beloved. God has shown me that though we tread these waters of judgment, the promise of restoration is intertwined with an even greater plan. With each word, the Spirit grew as love cast out the shadows of despair. The hearts of the faithful were ignited, seeking to understand, to fathom the depth of God's mystery. As the storm raged and nature continued its tempestuous display, Noah shared the truth that had been revealed to him. In this new beginning, there shall arise a generation, a remnant of the faithful, clothed in righteousness, bearing witness to the covenant of the Lord. In their collective silence, voices of the elders murmured wisdom, and children listened intently, eyes wide with wonder. The understanding began to blossom within the assembly that they were not merely passengers but participants in a divine saga. A lineage forged by faith was to emerge, a remnant destined for greatness, to lead hearts back to communion with the Almighty. Yet deep within the recesses of their hearts, questions loomed. What would this new lineage entail? Where would they tread once the floodwaters receded? As if in response, a hush fell over the ark, adorned with the promise of God's presence. Hope burgeoned within them, carrying forth a seed for the future. Then, in the stillness, a delicate flutter caught the gaze of Noah. A pigeon returned, wings rustling softly against the air, clutching an olive leaf in its beak. The Lord's pulse quickened among them, witnessing His handiwork. The waters have abated. He declared, voice resonating like thunder. We shall soon emerge, and with us, the promise, the seed sown for generations. The remnant erupted in joyful reverence, praising the Lord for His mercy. Yet in the exhilaration of their shared faith, a new dimension dawned. This covenant was but a precursor to a greater promise yet unveiled. For after the flood, Noah proclaimed amidst their praise, there shall arise one whose lineage will bear the weight of salvation for all mankind. the seed of hope that brings light unto the darkened world. Thus, God's sovereign plan was unfolding, drawing closer to its culmination, sending forth the faithful, as dawn approached for all the earth. And in that illuminated foreshadowing, the greatest question lingered: how would they fulfill that promise entrusted to them? The heart of creation awaited an answer, and the remnant stood ready, awaiting the call they could not, yet yearned, to fully comprehend. And it came to pass, as the days counted onward in the embrace of the ark, that the clouds began to part, revealing glimpses of light cascading through the heavens. The air turned crisp, as the remnant felt a shift, the earth's heartbeat shifting beneath them. Noah, filled with expectancy, gathered his family, urging them to prepare their hearts, for soon they would emerge into a world renewed. "Listen," he called to his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, "our deliverance is imminent. There lies before us a promise from the Almighty, yet we must be vigilant in our faith as we step into the unknown." Noah again sought the Lord's guidance, and within the sacred stillness, a deep understanding washed over him like the gentle wave of the waters that once overwhelmed the earth. "O Lord," he petitioned, "lead us forth and grant us wisdom as we emerge from this vessel of salvation." In response, the Spirit of the Lord stirred amongst them, filling their hearts with courage. The vision of the rainbow still lingered in Noah's mind, speaking of a hope yet revealed. He shared with his family, "The promise of restoration is at hand, but we hold a charge within our hearts. This remnant is destined to be a beacon, a herald of your glory among the nations." Days passed with the gentle rocking of the ark, and then, in the twilight of the seventh day after the waters ceased, a further sign was given. The ground quaked slightly as a ripple coursed through the earth, and the skies opened wide, revealing a painted horizon. Noah beheld a dream anew. The olive branch represented more than mere sustenance, it was a token of covenant, a calling to generations yet lurking in the shadows of time. "Gather the animals," Noah proclaimed. "It is time to release them into the world, to fulfill what the Lord has commanded. Our journey does not end here but begins anew, as stewards of creation." With reverent haste, they prepared, and as the doors of the ark swung open, a rush of fresh air filled their lungs. The earth, bathed in sunlight, beckoned them into its untouched beauty. The multitude of creatures joyfully dispersed, sent out to multiply and fill the earth anew. Noah, standing at the threshold, raised his hands toward the heavens, uniting his family in prayer. "O Lord, let our steps be guided in your truth, that we may glorify your name in all the earth. Let our offspring be a chosen people, bringing healing and redemption." In that sacred moment, the ground shook again with a mighty tremor, and a deep voice resounded, reverberating through the air like thunder. "Behold, I make a covenant with you, and with every living thing that is with you, for every beast of the earth and the fowl of the air, I will not destroy the earth again." Tears brimming with gratitude and awe flowed from their eyes, for they grasped the scope of God's mercy. Yet, beneath the surface of joy, the air held a tremor, a whisper of deeper truths yet to be revealed. "I in the wake of the covenant, the Lord spoke again, saying, from your lineage shall arise a people, a holy remnant, gifted for a purpose beyond your understanding." The remnant, now taking form upon the earth, began to understand the layers of their calling, a tapestry woven within the heart of God's sovereign plan. They stood at the cusp of a promise beyond the flood, one that would stretch through the ages, beckoning their descendants to faithfully pursue his design. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars began to twinkle, a new hope flickered in the hearts of Noah and his family, igniting a yearning to discover the miraculous society that would arise in time. They would be known as the faithful witnesses, the 144,000 destined to proclaim the truth of God's eternal covenant. As the golden sun rose over the newly cleansed earth, Noah gazed upon the world that lay before him, vast and unblemished, as if reborn from the depths of despair. Each blade of grass glimmered with the dew of a new beginning, and the songs of birds rang out like praise unto the Almighty. The echoes of the past faded, as the promise of God settled into the hearts of this new remnant. "Let us walk upon this land the Lord has graciously given us," Noah said, his voice steady with resolve. "We must cultivate and steward this creation, honoring the covenant bestowed upon us." Shem, ever the diligent son, nodded with fervor. "Father, we shall build an altar to the Lord, to offer our thanks and establish his worship in this place. With the blessing of his father, Shem set to gather stones, while Ham and Japheth began to explore the borders of the land, marveling at the beauty of nature renewed. Each step they took resonated with a purpose, their hearts aflame with the charge awakened within them. As twilight approached, the family gathered in a clearing. Noah stood before them, his heart heavy with a sense of divine urgency. "My sons," he began, "the task set before us is greater than we can fathom. We are to raise a lineage that knows the Lord and walks in his ways." He knelt upon the earth and prayed, asking for strength and wisdom, that they might guide their children in righteousness. The moment bore weight, even the creatures which scattered across the land sensed the divine gravity of Noah's intercession. That in the midst of their prayer, the heavens shimmered, and a cloud bore light that split into colors of the rainbow, encircling them like a sacred promise. The very air seemed charged with the expectancy of unspoken revelations. "Surely the Lord is with us!" exclaimed Japheth, his voice trembling with awe. "He shall bless us abundantly." But as they rejoiced, yet another tremor shifted the ground beneath them. The earth groaned, and from the heart of the forest emerged a figure, a stranger with a countenance that bore heavenly likeness. His garments shone as if woven from the dawn itself, and the light of the Lord emanated from him like dawn breaking in the darkness. "Fear not," the visitor declared, his voice resonating with a gentle authority. "For I come to declare the purpose of your lineage. Through your obedience, a remnant shall rise marked by faith and undying hope, a people set apart for the glory of God." "Who are you?" Noah implored, bewildered but steadfast. "I am a messenger of the Most High," he replied. "And I bear tidings of what is yet to come. From you shall arise a people destined to carry forth the name of the Lord, a 144,000 called to witness his truth at the appointed time." With each word, the significance of their calling sunk deeper into the souls of Noah and his family. "What must we do?" Shem cried out, yearning to grasp the full measure of the prophetic call. "You shall impart the ways of the Lord to all whom you encounter," the angel revealed. "But look well, for trials shall come, and your faith shall be tested. In darkness, the promise shall flicker, but hold fast. For the Lord is faithful to complete what he begins." As the messenger finished, he vanished like mist in the morning sun, leaving the air thick with expectation. Noah and his family stood in silence, overwhelmed by the weight of their charge. Noah turned to his sons, a new fire igniting within him. "Let us build a legacy. Our children shall know the stories of the flood, and they shall never forget the covenant made with our God." As they embraced a vision greater than themselves, the first stars of the evening glimmered in the sky, each twinkling light a reminder of promises yet fulfilled. Yet under the wonder was a pulse of unease. What trials would await them? What darkness might seek to extinguish the light of their lineage? Thus, the foundations of a new society were laid, guided by faith, hope, and an unyielding call to carry forth the name of the Lord into the generations beyond, a mystery still to be unveiled in the unfolding tapestry of God's sovereign plan. And it came to pass that as the dawn unveiled the day, Noah and his sons set about their task with fervent hearts. They gathered stones from the river banks and wood from the robust trees that spilled over the mountainside, crafting the altar unto the Lord just as Shem had proposed. With each stone placed, they recounted the stories of old, invoking the memories of the faithfulness of God. Once the altar stood firm and resolute, Noah took a deep breath, his spirit lifted by the weight of their calling. He called upon his family to gather around him. "Come, my sons. Let us offer sacrifices of thanksgiving upon this altar, for the Lord has been merciful to us. We must honor him with our lives, and may our offerings be pleasing in his sight." As the flames rose from the altar, the sweet fragrance of burnt offerings ascended toward the heavens. They laid the first fruits of their labor, unleashing prayers that resonated in the quiet serenity of the new world. Noah's voice trembled as he interceded for their future generations, recalling the promise the Lord had sealed with the rainbow, a covenant lasting as long as the earth shall stand. But lo, as the smoke curled and mingled with the clear blue sky, a shadow passed swiftly above them. It was Ham who first sensed the change in the air, his brow furrowing with concern. "Father, do you feel that?" he asked, looking up into the bright heavens. Noah paused, turned, and cast his gaze towards the horizon, where dark clouds began to gather, thick and ominous. The wind stirred, whispering a foreboding word into their spirits. "Indeed, my son. A storm is brewing, not of water but of trial. The enemy shall not rest while we build this legacy. With hearts firm, the family united in purpose. We shall not shy away from the darkness," Japheth proclaimed, his voice ringing with determination. "For we are emboldened by his promise." Days transformed into weeks as the family continued to forge their new life. They toiled together, planting seeds of faithfulness within fertile soil. The cultivation of crops was abundant, and the animals thrived under their care. Yet each evening, as starlight spilled over the altar, they could not shake the feeling a heaviness loomed as the cries of a distant future echoed faintly in their hearts. Then one fateful night, as they gathered once again by the altar, a vision overtook Noah. His eyes were drawn to a brilliant light in the heavens, a sign appearing like a great star. He fell upon his knees, the weight of the vision pressing upon him. "O Lord!" he cried out, "reveal to me the meaning of this mystery." In the quiet solitude, Noah perceived a voice as gentle as a whisper yet filled with thunderous authority. "Noah, behold the sign of your lineage, for from this place, the remnant destined to shine for my glory shall rise. Not solely from your seed, but among the nations shall be gathered those whose hearts seek me." A chill traversed Noah's spine as the enormity of the revelation enveloped him. "What is your desire, Lord?" he dared to ask. "Prepare the hearts of your family, for they will mentor those destined for greatness. From across lands and peoples, the faithful shall be called. Trials shall come to test, but allow my light to shine through them. For even in the shadows, they will rise as a beacon, a testimony of unwavering hope." As the vision faded, Noah arose, a renewed strength igniting within him. He called his sons once again to gather, this time with an urgency that stirred their very souls. "Great shall be the work we must undertake," he said, "for the Lord has shown me the destiny of our namesake. Each child we raise must understand the weight of faithfulness we carry." But as Noah's words resonated within their hearts, they could not help but feel the shadows gathering, dark whisperings that echoed uncertainty against the promise laid before them. As stars blinked in and out of view, questions clung to the air, thick with expectation. What trials would beset their people? What struggles lay ahead in the weaving of God's grand tapestry? Thus, with the first light of dawn breaking upon the horizon, they took up their tasks once more, eyes set towards an uncertain future, hearts anchored in the sovereign plan of God, a promise whose fullness would unfold in its divine time. And it came to pass on the morrow that as the sun ascended in radiant glory, Noah gathered his sons by the altar once more, their hearts aflame with a fervor that echoed their father's resolve. "Come, my sons. Let us incline our ears to the Lord, for he has called us to facilitate his will among the nations." With solemn hearts, Shem, Ham, and Japheth positioned themselves around Noah, their eyes fixed upon the heavens, where once the light of a divine vision had illuminated their path. "We must seek the Lord," Noah implored, "that he may guide us through every shadow that lurks amid our journey." They lifted their voices in prayer, beseeching the Lord for strength and wisdom, as their cries mingled with the rustling leaves and chirping birds. The spirit of anticipation permeated the air, thickening like a fog, and Noah felt an urgency within him, a prophetic whisper strumming through the very core of his being. Suddenly, as if stirred by the prayers of the righteous, a tremor rippled through the land, and the ground beneath them shuddered as though it held secrets untold. The skies grew dark, and a heaviness settled upon their souls, causing their hearts to beat in unison with an unspoken dread. In that moment, Noah raised his hands heavenward, imploring the heavens to reveal the cause of this tempest. "Lord, show us the path thou hast ordained," he cried. From the depths of silence, a voice resonated, deep and reverberating, like thunder rolling across distant mountains. "Noah, behold, I have set before you not merely a legacy, I have summoned forth a generation." And in that instant, the earth trembled again, but this time it sang a song that vibrated through the very marrow of creation. As Noah and his sons looked upon each other, awe mingled with fear, for they sense the weight of a great calling resting upon their shoulders. Among your descendants shall arise a remnant, numbered and called, the voice continued, echoing the ancient prophecies. A holy society, unblemished before me, who will proclaim my glory in the midst of chaos. Hearken to this truth, for they will stand against the trials that lie ahead. As the words washed over him, Noah turned, his countenance aglow with the knowledge of God's divine plan. My sons, do you understand what the Lord has spoken? He urged them. We are to prepare for the coming of this remnant to teach them in the ways of righteousness and faith, for they will be my successors in the mission ahead. In unity, the family began to feel an undeniable stir within their spirits, a burning desire to fulfill this sacred commission. But the weight of God's promise was fraught with solemnity, as visions of tribulation and testing flickered upon the horizon like distant lightning. Ham, who had always wrestled with the grip of fear, spoke forth, "What if we fail? What if the trials prove too great for us?" Noah, filled with compassion, replied, "Fear not, my son, for he who has called us is faithful. In our weakness, his strength shall manifest. Let us draw courage from the promises bestowed upon us." And as time continued its march, Noah rose early each day, seeking the Lord's face with prayer and supplication. Each evening, the family gathered to recount their journey and lift their voices in worship, their faith kindling as they saw God's provision evident in their flourishing crops and thriving livestock. Yet in the stillness, shadows loomed ever closer, and Noah sensed an awakening darkness encircling their home. The distant cries of future generations echoed, reminders of a world yearning for deliverance. "Awake, my sons!" Noah called out one night, as the stars blinked fiercely above, "The trials are near, and we must brace ourselves. Our legacy is tied not merely to the earth but to the skies, where the aspirations of many will yet intertwine with our own." With resolve, the family held fast to their unity and faith, knowing the time would soon come to unveil the depth of the calling upon their lives and the world. Thus, as the shadows danced and the winds whispered secrets known only to God, the seeds of His miraculous plan were being sown deep within their hearts, a plan to craft a people set apart, journeying forth in His unfailing truth and glory. What transformative events awaited this chosen remnant? The fabric of destiny was woven, yet the final tapestry had yet to unfold, holding the promise of revelation locked within the timeless embrace of His sovereign will. And it came to pass that as Noah and his sons labored in their daily tasks, the air grew heavy with the essence of foreboding and divine purpose. The sun dipped low upon the horizon, casting an amber glow across the valley, yet darkness crept with stealthy intent. Noah, burdened by the whispers of the Almighty, sensed the urgency of the hour. He called out to his sons, "Gather near, for the Lord's voice beckons us anew. We must not tarry, lest we miss the signs of His coming will." Shem, Ham, and Japheth drew closer, their hearts pulsing with an anxious anticipation, as they feared the tumult of the days to come. "Let us offer sacrifices of praise, for the Lord is gracious and His mercy endures forever," Noah declared, lifting his hands toward heaven, and trusting their fears to the One who knows all. Each son followed his father's lead, offering up their hearts in worship, beseeching the Lord for strength and insight. The very earth seemed to tremble at their devotion, and as the incense of their prayers ascended, a profound silence enveloped them as if the heavens held their breath. In that still moment, the voice of God pierced the tense atmosphere. "Noah, your faithfulness has not gone unnoticed. I have chosen you to be the beacon of hope for generations yet unborn." Noah's heart swelled, for he understood that the remnant foreseen would not simply endure but thrive. "What shall we teach them, O Lord?" he asked, desperate to grasp the fullness of the divine charge. "Teach them of my ways," the voice resounded, an echo of truth rattling through the air. "In the shadow of calamity, they shall reveal my glory through deeds of righteousness. They shall be the lights in times of profound darkness, harbingers of my covenant with humanity." Ham trembled at the weight of these words, and strife churned in his spirit. "Will we, my father, be strong enough? If trials arise, who shall stand against them?" "Hold firm, my son," Noah replied, placing a steadying hand upon Ham's shoulder. "Did not the Lord deliver us from the waters? Did he not promise that his covenant shall endure? In our weakness, his power is made perfect. We are to be vessels of his grace, not merely for ourselves, but for a world aching for salvation. In that hour, the mantle of leadership settled upon their shoulders like a heavy cloak, recognized by all. The family resolved to seek wisdom and strength as Joseph sought the favor of Pharaoh, knowing they were called to navigate through the storm that prophecy foretold. Days turned into weeks, and the weight of the Lord's charge pressed upon them, compelling each son to prepare their hearts and minds. As the harvest season approached, they labored together with diligence, understanding that their efforts were woven into God's grand tapestry. They spoke often of the future of children who would one day arise through their lineage, carrying the legacy of righteousness through epochs of time. Then one fateful evening, as the sun slipped beneath the horizon, a man stood at the edge of their land. His garments were worn, and his face bore lines of worry weathered by life's hardships. "Noah," he cried out. "I come seeking refuge and truth. There are tidings of woe from beyond the mountains." Noah approached him, his heart brimming with compassion. "Speak, brother, of what you have seen." The man replied, "There they build wickedness with abandon, and the hearts of men grow dark. They have turned from their Creator, they mock righteousness and revel in sin. A flood is coming, one that shall cleanse the earth of its evils." At that moment, a flicker of divine illumination crossed Noah's soul, igniting the fire of urgency within him. "Then we must proclaim the truth," he declared. "We shall prepare the hearts of our family and whatever souls the Lord may lead to us. Our legacy will not be one of mere survival, but of a holy society forged in faith. The remnant shall not only endure, it shall flourish." And the man, feeling the stirrings of hope ignited within him, answered, "Let us labor together, then, and prepare for what is to come, for he who sends you is the God of all promise." As night deepened, an expectancy settled over them, a realm where faith met divine destiny, setting forth the seeds of a vast work yet to be revealed. What awaited the remnant? How would God's sovereign plan unfold amid tribulation and darkness? And it came to pass, as the whispers of darkness seeped into the hearts of men, the faithful remnant remained steadfast, nurtured by hope in the Almighty's promises. Noah's family, now a beacon of divine purpose, embraced not just survival but a legacy to be carved out of faith. The earth before them, fertile and anew, beckoned with opportunities to glorify God. "Arise, my sons," Noah urged, his voice ringing with conviction. "The time has come to plant seeds of righteousness deeper than the roots of every vine. Our actions shall echo through the annals of time." With hands locked together, each son felt the mantle of their calling upon them, an unyielding bond that fostered strength amidst uncertainty. Days grew longer with promise as they tended to their crops, cultivating both the earth and their hearts, preparing for the traditions that would follow them into history. With each harvest, they offered the first fruits as sacred offerings unto the Lord, a collective heart of gratitude lifting to the heavens like fragrant incense. Philippians 4 verse 18. Yet, as their lives flourished in the shadow of God's grace, the shadows of doubt lingered, often whispering fears of what could yet come. It was during a twilight gathering unbroken skies wrapped in hues of gold that Noah invited those who had journeyed far from their own trials to gather. He had heard their cries and seen the lines of worry etched into their brows. "Brothers and sisters," he proclaimed, drawing them close, "the path is treacherous, yet the gamble of our faith shines bright before us. Together, we shall stand as witnesses to God's covenant." All present felt the electric stir of anticipation ripple through the encampment as Noah continued, "From our lineage shall rise the 144,000, a community not defined by worldly possessions but marked by the testimony of our lives lived in devotion." The crowd nodded, emboldened by his words, as they began to understand their role was not merely to endure but to embody righteousness in a world woven with despair. Noah, one among them, spoke, an elder with wisdom painted across his visage. "How shall we ensure their hearts remain anchored in faith as the world around them crumbles?" The question struck deep, resonating with all present, and in that moment, a holy hush fell over the assembly. "The answer lies in our commitment," Noah replied, his gaze piercing through the gathering. "Each act of love, every deed of mercy we extend to those in need, shall build a foundation. They shall see our faith laid bare not only in the words we speak but in the communion we cultivate among us. Like the rainbow that seals his promises, Genesis 9 verses 12 to 13, our unity shall signify divine favor. The crowd erupted in praise, voices intertwining with hymns that rang through the valleys, calling forth new strength and awakening a fervor within each heart. And so they resolved to labor on not just for themselves, but for every soul yearning for refuge in God's embrace. Days melted into months as the struggling light of dusk witnessed the growth of new life around the altar. Their village of hope blossomed under the watchful eye of the Almighty. Through trials they united, teaching the children beneath the sprawling trees, recounting their legacy, always pointing back to the covenant sealed by the Lord. You are not forgotten, they would say with fervent hearts. Walk in the ways of righteousness, and the Lord shall renew your strength. And then the day drew near when a messenger from beyond the hills approached their gathering. He, dust-laden and weary, raised his hand in greeting. Noah! He shouted, his voice carrying urgency, word comes from distant lands. Evil has risen in strength, but a remnant of the faithful will shine amidst the tumult. Gathering closer, Noah felt a surge of divine encouragement as the man relayed the tidings of hope. Other faithful souls, clinging to the promise of redemption, were gathering in secret. They await your guidance, he exclaimed, to fortify love against the tide of darkness. Noah's heart soared within him as a profound understanding gripped his spirit. The remnant was not merely contained within the walls he had known but spread far beyond. Let us embrace this call. Through every land, God's love shall resonate. He declared, joy seeping from him. With the dawn upon them, they set forth not just as a family but as a legacy entwined with every faithful heart. The shadows that whispered doubt began to tremble before the radiant light of their faith. As they reached the furthest lands, communities gathered around them, families huddled close, eager to listen to the chronicle of God's grace. The story of Noah was now their own, a shared testament, emboldening hearts to rise as the faithful remnant. And when the challenge arose, when dark clouds threatened to obscure the light of faith, the people proclaimed, we shall stand firm together. A storm may come, but our hearts are anchored in his unfailing word. Standing united, the remnant began to shine like stars in the night sky, illuminating the world's dark corners, revealing the pathway that led to true hope. In the fullness of time, the darkness could not comprehend the light. John 1 verse 5, for the faithful remnant the 144,000 had risen, poised to herald the arrival of the promised seed of hope. Generations to come would tell the story of resilience, of redemption crafted in the crucible of faith. As Noah gazed over the lands they had touched, a prayer rose in his heart, O Lord, let our legacy be more than mere endurance, let us become the vessels through which others find eternal life. With the promise of a new era forthcoming, the remnant stood ready, and it was time for life to spring forth from these yielded hearts, a larger narrative unfolding within the benevolence of God's sovereign plan. Dear friends, this is the moment to help spread biblical truth. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next powerful biblical stories. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm. Comment your spiritual reflections and how this biblical story impacted your faith. Don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's word and witness all that He has in store.